Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom 2016. I'm Brian Altano. I'm with Joe and Ted from Sea of Thieves. Man, okay, let's start with this. I played your game at E3. It's probably the hardest I've laughed playing a video game in a very long time. I don't necessarily entirely know why or what made that happen, but it's a game about me and a bunch of my friends getting together on a boat and just kind of getting in trouble. Is that about right?
That's pretty accurate, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so,
well, thanks for joining us. This will be great. Tell me about Sea of Thieves. What do you do in this game?
So for us, the core thing, we call it a shared world adventure game, right? And the acronym for that's a SWAG. So we're particularly happy around that.
Oh, that's good.
That's
real good.
Yeah. But it really is. It's like everything is in a shared world, right? And so it means that it's about groups of players or an individual if they want going into this world. But that whenever they encounter, another set of sails on the horizon, or maybe a ship in a bay when they're on an island, kind of going over the peak, and they see people disembarking, you're always going to know it's real players.
Yeah.
And you're not really going to know what they want, right? And so we expect all of these really fascinating emergent scenarios to kind of,
really
to play out.
Because of that, I can't not be watching what's
our
going on down
the screen here. Yeah.
Well, we actually, when we played it at E3, I played it with a bunch of the Podcast Beyond guys, which is a show we do here at IGN, and we were kind of saying we should just do our show in this game. Right. Let's do an episode of a show on a boat.
Can we make that happen?
Yeah.
At least once.
I would love to, because I think it's it effectively feels like this massive cartoony chat client where people are attacking you.
Yeah.
It's very different than anything I've ever played before.
Yeah. So we've actually built and invested quite a lot of money in a broadcast lab at our studio at Rare. We built this about 6 months ago, and that's what we used to capture the fans that we had in our gameplay trailer for E3. But we've talked about exactly the same thing that you guys have arrived at. It's rather than doing just the traditional interview kind of thing to share information, hey, let's just get a bunch of the IGN guys in, we'll have a big session, and we'll just do a live interview and stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're totally
play
right.
The theme, in the background. I could just be on a different ship.
That's it,
And that's one of the cool things I notice is that characters have different ways of interacting. You have musical instruments. You have you'll see it sometimes here, but it's sometimes a first-person drinking game.
Yeah. So basically, grog and musical instruments are kind of they're social features.
Yes.
And so they don't have any mechanical benefit. In fact, they have a mechanical negative in terms of the drinking. It actually makes your reactions worse, and you'll stumble all over the place. But what it does is it makes people laugh, to your point earlier, right?
Yes.
And if you get people laughing together, they bond. Yeah. And what that means is you've got this cooperative crew kind of that are having fun together, and they feel bonded, and it's crucial for this type of game, especially if you can't play with friends, they're not online, you want to play with strangers, you still want to be able to bond.
Right.
And it was your point right at the start, I think, of just you were laughing and you're not sure why, but you were having a great time, and just because you were just there having fun, and I know you played with a bunch of the guys from IGN, right?
Yes, I did.
We also see people who play with strangers having the same experience. And
I think grog brings people together like that.
Yeah.
It does, but obviously we're not advocating drinking in real life.
Absolutely
that would be
not.
Irresponsible.
You can use it as a communication method. Today in our behind closed doors, we're showing off the 4K version running on Windows 10. Looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it?
Yep.
But I jumped on someone else's ship and didn't really know how to communicate other than get out my grog. And then they started drinking
exactly
it
right.
as well.
So two rival
just
pirates,
a fun social experience.
I think it's stuff like that can bring people from around the world together. So did you guys do pirate research for this?
We did. Yeah. We actually a bunch of pirates. Obviously, we've watched all of the films, all the TV shows. Black Sail's really good, but other TV shows are available. And we actually took a research trip down to the Cutty Sark and the Golden Hind, which I think was Sir Francis Drake's ship, if I remember correctly, right at the start of the project. And one of the most interesting things we learned there, or at least for me, which instantly was game mechanic, we're doing that, was the phrase rats leaving a sinking ship is actually based on, because the rats used to live in the bottom of the ship where all the food was. But basically if water started coming onto the ship, they'd flee up and you'd see them running around the top and on the ropes. And at that point, it's basically a feedback mechanic that you're sinking. I like
how you call that a feedback mechanic.
It is though, right? And
it's such a game devever thing to say.
I know.
We're dying. This is a good feedback
mechanic. Yeah. But straight away we went back and we prototyped it and we got it in, and it's great. And I'd much rather that than a health bar right on the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to hear the water coming in and you want to hear the rats squeaking, and then you're like, oh, we need to go and fix the holes.
So is that what happens in this game? Rats just start coming up?
Not in this, but we prototyped it back at the office, and so it will be coming into our experience for sure. Yeah,
rats will be coming into your experience. Yeah, I love it.
Exactly. It's what you'd expect as a pirate game,
and
right?
to Joe's point, I love the lack of tutorials. your point about reading literature, seeing pirate films, you just know that when you get on the boat, we need to raise the anchor, we need to lower the sails, and it's just such a nice, welcoming experience that players already know what to do on a pirate ship.
And it's that joy of discovery of how to do it.
It is weird.
Yeah, but
it's awesome.
We grew up reading books, dressing up as pirates, and then watching shows, watching films. It's all there.
Well, because I had the experience, and it was funny because I was playing with people who they don't know any boat words. Yeah. And the fact that I even called them boat words showed that we don't know anything. But one of us immediately went to the front of what's the name for that?
Bow?
Prow, bow.
You guys should know this.
Prow or bow.
We just make it up, honestly. Like when you
it took me
rotate.
2 years to know the difference between port and starboard.
Yeah.
And
Really?
I do know. Port is the same because it's left, because it's got 4 letters. Simple. There you go.
But immediately people start splitting off and scrambling, and there's cannons on the side, so you can have a person on each side playing with the cannons. You can have someone just with a guitar, basically, just playing music.
A range of instruments.
And then somebody goes to the front and they start steering it. You have somebody else in the sail, and then other ships start coming out of nowhere where other players are, and then things just get completely chaotic. But one of the things I kept thinking about was like, hey, as soon as these guys stop attacking us with the cannonballs, can we go to this island and look for treasure? So is that something you can do? Can you just stop off and just go treasure hunting?
Yeah, so totally. So our next goal for the project, we're driving towards a closed beta, but it's not like a 1 week before final release of the game, test some servers and get it out there, right? It's about bringing this core experience of players cooperatively adventuring this world, exploring, getting off on islands, finding immersion opportunities, maybe a message in a bottle on an island that you open, it's got a treasure map, and I'm going to go here, and you get there, you can dig up some treasure, take it back to your boat, but then you've got to return that to port, right? And so this stuff you're earning in that session is suddenly, it's at risk. Somebody could come along and maybe they could try and sink your ship, or maybe get onto your ship and try and steal it. But maybe if you've got a few treasure chests, you could literally throw one overboard, right? And then they've got to choose between chasing you or going, there's some treasure here. But
that's tough. That's a good balance.
Yeah, and so we want to land that kind of just that core experience that we believe players with a wide variety of kind of motivations will want, and then we want to get it into players' hands and grow it, because you've kind of said, when you encounter other players in this world, there's chaos, things happen, you don't know what to expect, and that's our promise, and we can't kind of prove that out, and we can't then start tuning and tweaking and growing it until real players are playing that.
That's true. Yeah, so we had a scenario in our session where one of our guys just walked out and jumped onto the other ship. And he was like, I think I'm on their ship now. And we were like, traitor! How dare you leave us?
But again, it's all seamless, right? And anything you kind of expect to be able to do. Can I jump on their ship? Yes. Can I lower their anchor and really annoy them? Yes, you can, right?
So you can go over there and troll them.
Of course you can.
That's great.
But obviously, as we evolve this and we then start adding those kind of personal weapons in, so when we get quests in with the treasure maps and stuff, you're going to need a way to protect the treasure map. So we've got a blunderbuss already working, ready to go, but we just haven't turned it on in the game yet, because we have to bring it in at the right stage with those other features. But then if somebody did come across to troll you and do that, you'd just be able to take them out with a nice single aim shot of the blunderbuss.
What do you mean take them out? Because this is like a kind of like heartwarming, lovely cartoon game that does have alcoholism, but still, if you just
it's not alcoholism. There's no it's just it's
if it's out on the boat in the middle of the sea, it's social drinking, even though there's only 3 other people.
And frenemies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, how do you sort of like bring in a gun into a game like this and make it so that it's just not horrible?
So our
and bloody?
aspiration is to make death fun.
Great.
Okay, and I'll explain a little bit.
Someone should.
But so we don't want death to be the end of the journey. And so in our game, you'll go to a ghost ship, the Ferry of the Damned, right? Which is basically, have you seen Beetlejuice?
Yeah, of course.
You know the waiting room in Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
It's basically the waiting room in Beetlejuice.
So there's going to be the guy with the shrunken head.
It's more that it's a social place for dead people to go before they make their re-entry into the world. And maybe there'll be some social things to do together, but you'll be able to learn. So it won't just be people on your crew. You'll be encountering other players that were in the world in this social space. And maybe you can play a social game to kind of win something back to take back with you into the world before you then go back. Because we want that balance of kind of loss and punishment. We didn't want there to be moments where you literally just threw the controller through the screen and because you've lost too much and you were too invested. We never want there to be a natural end to a journey. We always want there to be an option to continue it and keep going. And
it's
so
a consistent world, so it suits that kind of constantly wanting to carry on, see what's over the horizon.
So is it going to be a lot of people with like a big hole in their stomach? Like, did you get the blunderbuss? Yeah, I got the blunderbuss.
But I think that tonally for us, it's not about a big gaping hole with blood pouring out. Right?
It might be a peg leg,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Or it might be a hook on
Yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
on your
Well, you could
hand.
do like the
Yeah.
Daffy Duck thing where you can just see right
Yeah.
through him. Like, is that, what happened there?
Right, but you know, it's tonally it has to fit with the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's all about, like, we always take longer in a play session than we mean to. We book in an hour, right,
Yeah.
and then suddenly 2 hours is gone because you just get immersed.
And
you
your
know,
cheeks definitely start to hurt. Like
yeah,
the whole
yeah,
smiling thing.
and laughing.
It's
yeah.
it's a really
Definitely
good time.
starts
So
to get you.
2017, right?
We haven't took dates, so next goal is the closed beta. I know, right?
Can't even give you a year.
I know.
Anyway.
But it's not the date that's important.
Yeah.
It's that we get the right experience to the right audience
That's
at the
true.
right time.
And take
So,
your
yeah.
time making it, and definitely make that see-through person like I
Yeah.
just picked. Sea of Thieves coming soon-ish, maybe? As soon as they're ready. We're going to be covering games right here all week long at IGN for Gamescom, so stay tuned. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.